Hi, greetings, family. Um, I guess it must be true. Like everything that Trump touches, him and his followers, whatever they touch, just turns downward, turns to boo boo. You know what I mean? I was looking at the checking in on the March. The 250th military anniversary of the United States military, and although paying honor and homage to the military, the U.S. military, I would say does, you know, acknowledging it is okay. All right. No military is perfect, but I must say that the U.S. military has kept America safe for many years, right? However, even though acknowledging them, is like, an okay thing. I would say that what really put a cloud over it, though, was Trump hijacking this event and scheduling it on his birthday. Wanting to look like, Kim Jong Un. What's his name? Kim Jong Un and President Xi of China or Putin of Russia. You know, this man always wants to be more than what he is, And it's like more and more, he just looks like a clown, right? I was checking out, how one thing I loved was the fact that at the same time that this parade was going on, the protesting, the No King Day protests were going on all over the country. And when you look at the numbers, oh my God, phenomenal, And, it's like I applaud the protesters because they didn't get distracted by him wanting to what is that, mask an event like celebrating the military, U.S. military. They didn't go for the okey doke and by him putting his doing it on his birthday. He wanted to really stand there and be saluted, by crowds of people, millions of people. I think they was expecting like 200,000. They say it was probably under 10,000 people that was there, and they showed, a lot of empty spaces, which I applaud. Enough with this here stupidness, right? And I applaud the protesters for not being violent. Although Trump's, some of his followers in two different cities caused some violence, and even there was a death, which was caused by one of the attackers, of or a Trump follower that was an attacker. It's sad that these people really think that intimidation is going to keep him in the presidency, and I really believe that deep down. Just my thoughts that I would not be surprised if it was to come out that his Proud Boys and all the rest of them, they're all connected in with this here stuff, intimidated. This is all they know. This is what brainless people who don't know how to articulate government and intelligence in a civil manner. This is what they turn to: violence, and intimidation and bullying and stuff, right? But the protesters, I will say, they showed no disrespect to the armed services that was parading. They did not boo them, which I applaud also. They handled it in a very civil manner. However, they showed what I would say is much disagreement with this here King Trump theory that the Republicans are forging, wanting to, go along with his plans, and we all know it's due to his fear, because once he leave out that office, all hell is going to open up and swallow him down. He got countless cases against him. He owes countless, even though he's making a lot of money, He has, I believe he broke a lot of promises that he didn't come through on his first term, and that's why he's, pedal to the metal on this here with forging with all of these new policies that's taking money, raking money out of all different kind of departments and their accounts, and including even parts of the military, But I'll say this here, I don't think it's going to be enough to save his ass, though, So the protesters did what they did. They did a phenomenal job, and they showed him. It's like the look on Trump's face was worth millions of dollars. It was priceless because he looked like a sad kid, a sad boy who really thought he had the brilliant plan, of hijacking this event, putting his face on it, and it was supposed to just be, magnificent, fantabulous, as we say sometimes, and it flopped right in his face. Even his administrators, his administration team that was all around him looked at bored. They really knew how stupid they looked, and you could tell on their faces. But he sat there like a kid who was so, upset, mad, angry, and even some of the shots looked like he could have bust out in tears, because it didn't turn out the way that he wanted it to, and, I would just say, like, talking about disrespect, it's like I noticed that I was also looking at the news that Elon, now it's like Elon is talking about moving on and not, he doesn't know, he no longer needs the U.S. contracts, right, for his, what is it, Starlink satellites, SpaceX, and his Tesla EV cars and stuff. He's maneuvered his way and navigated himself over to what is the equivalent of the G7. Well, the new kid on the block is the BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, what is it? Indonesia, India, right? And China and South Africa. So now he is negotiating right now with contracts with the BRICS, right? And what does that mean? Well, one thing, it means that we may get some more mudslinging in a little bit, because he no longer has to kiss Rump's ass, kiss Rump's rump, right, to get these United States military contracts and stuff, because he is really, China is the big boy on the block now. So they're reeling him in, and he being Elon, and he is running, like a fat kid for candy. He is running right over there, and he's now strategically placing satellite technology contracts. He's doing satellite contracts with India, and he is working on some satellite stuff with China, and there's some other stuff going on with South Africa. I forget what it is. So the world is moving and shifting. And while United States is still stuck on this here racism bullshit, this white supremacy bullshit, the rest of the world is steady rising. They're steady going upwards, right? And America is remaining stuck, because when they lose Elon, they're losing probably the best technological kid or organization that they've had in a very, very long time. So, Trump was in the background and with the military, shutting down some contracts to try to spank Elon. Elon wiggled out of that there, and now he is now with the BRICS, and we're going to see some changes happening, and we may see some humbling. Just like Elon helped to get Trump up in there in the presidency, well, without Elon by his side, it's pretty well he will not be here for a third term, But anyway, we'll keep watching. Peace.